Today, we're talking to Rachel Leventhal, a creator, technologist, and a builder who's been ahead of every wave in media and tech. From Nickelodeon's Director Lab to AI for Netflix and AMC to AI-powered filmmaking at Backlog AI, she's shaped tools that shape how we tell stories. Rachel, I gotta confess, we're gonna go in time for a minute. I'm a little bit starstruck that I'm talking to you. Back in 96, I had my first computer, and it came with my very first CD-ROM, which was Nickelodeon's Director Lab. So in a way, you could make a point you have raised me creatively.
That's hilarious. Yes.
You were building interactive games at Viacom before most people had dial-up. So you helped launch mobile AR, and every time the tech changed, you were already building on it. So from CD-ROMs to AR to AI, what actually feels different for you in this moment about generative AI?
That's a great question. And I would say, first of all, it's hilarious that you brought up Director's Lab. And those were some of the most exciting days because we were getting a chance to work with brands at Viacom like Star Trek and Beavis and Butthead and the Nickelodeon brands. And now to meet people who use those things as children and have them be peers in this world is very exciting and thrilling. Watching the evolution of this has been really, really interesting. And I think in the beginning, when we said that we did, inner people were so confused about what it meant. And now everybody who's your age, you're all digital natives and grew up using interactive projects and interactive apps and interactive experiences of the kinds of things that when we were starting to design them, they just seemed so hard to make. You would have to buy special boards for your computer and weld shit together on the outside. I'm sorry, I said that.
You can curse. I curse all the time. It's fine.
Good. And now that we have these incredible AI engines, of course, the technology is in everybody's hands. And so we were able to do these wildly creative things sort of before because we were experimentative and willing to poke and prod things together and tie things together in new ways. And now that power is more in the hands of a lot of people. And I think the biggest, most exciting thing about it is that it leads to new kinds of collaborations, teams forming to make new creative products and new creative experiences. And you and I have actually been involved with some of those together when we were on a team together to make an AI film within a couple of hours. And that's just one example of how a group of people can come together and they can make an idea come to life in a new way without some of the barriers that they had before.
One thing that it's crazy that you're mentioning, right? Because in a way, you see how this influences a new wave of creators, right? Because literally that CD-ROM holds so much value for me because it was my introduction to creating video, to like working with these shows I was already watching on TV, and I can kind of like grab that and build my own thing. So I was like, that's what I want to do when I grow up. This is fun. And luckily I got to do it. So, but it's, that has an impact. So I hope you're proud about that because you probably helped build a generation of creators.
That was the Viacom New Media Group. It was a wonderful creative group of people. And it was actually the place where we started to learn what it means to integrate creativity and technology together and how we had to build these broad teams of experts to come together and be able to do it with a quality experience. And that there was a lot of love poured into all of those projects that the group did for Nickelodeon and MTV, Paramount. But it follows now that like on lesser known projects, we can have the same kind of people coming together with different kinds of artistry, different kinds of life experiences and stories they want to tell. And we can now form teams, the population, right? It's not just a specialized group that's been plucked together inside of a corporation, but scrappy, independent groups of people can come together to tell their stories and build their interactive projects. I mean, sort of like what we did at Slumu. where we had an idea to come together and make an interactive AI-driven transformation experience that would take place in a real live play space, Slumu, the Slime Museum that recently opened in Los Angeles, where we were able to do an after-hours party collaborating with a group of artists from the community. So, for example, one of the experiences, you would go through the Slime Museum and you would go to a make your own slime bar and choose your slime, the different colors, textures, smells. So this very tactile piece of play material that you would then put on the table and form into a shape. And when you took a picture of it, it would use AI that had been put together by Brian Wong and Kenny Miller and some wonderful technologists who helped us to pull it all together. And when you took the picture of the slime, it converted it into a realistic animated character that transformed from what you had created with your hands into a wonderful branded Slumu character. And the way that we were able to do that was to collaborate with the brand and to train a model based on some of their character, which looks like this, and the googly little eyeballs that go on it and some of the other branded pieces to always turn into something that made sense for the brand. And it was a completely delightful experience. In one night of playing, people got more and more involved with making complicated characters and playing in real time. It released the creativity. So they were collaborators with the artists who had built the system with the brand that had come up with these lovely different parts that would turn any piece of slime into their own branded experience. And so we're having the chance to do real life experiences like that. And then at the same time, we're having the chance to start to make films and build teams that are working together and practicing, learning the new technology as fast as we can, as quickly as it comes out to make films.
I was there and I was impressed with what a cool use case that was, because to me it made more sense, that case in which, if you're a kid and I could play with things and then see it animated, I'd be losing my shit. So that was a really good use case. Now, I want to focus on that kind of like innovation, right? And new technology, something that it's sort of like a pattern in your career, right? And when you're always that early, not everything sticks, right? You work with AR, NFTs, VR, CD-ROMs. So how do you personally decide which tech is worth your time as a creativity tool?
That's a great question. When we started at the Interactive Telecommunications Program, we were very early. And digital video was just coming into existing at the time. And we wanted to make interactive films that you could navigate and interactive databases that could be like interactive experiences. For example, we wanted to make branching television shows that the user could control by calling in with their touch-tone phone. And the way that we were able to do such things was to make a film on video and press it to a video disc and then control the video disc to create interactive experiences. One of mine was a sculpture called Kiosk Woman with a television set for a head and a mannequin body and a pressure-sensitive floor so that she would tell stories and look at you where you were in the space. And that seemed very worth it to explore because I created a responsive character and it was very exciting. But it was not something that could be sustained. The setup could not be repeated. I couldn't set it up for you again now. In being a creative technologist, it was exciting to see the next stage, and the next stage of media. You develop creativity tools as well as per things that children could use to create animations, etc. And that seemed exciting. And I think that you just can see when there's a tide of interest, when companies are exploring it, when artists, most likely artists leading the way also are exploring it, then it becomes something that you might want to look into. And you can tell sometimes with these later technologies, with NFTs and AI, there's both avid experimenters and also people who fear or don't want it for other reasons. And what my mission as an artist has been to find the place where it releases the opportunity to create meaningful art that has a feeling to it that people enjoy interacting with or watching or experiencing some way. And these technologies, NFTs, not as much. That turns out to be much more about the marketplace marketplace and the crypto aspect of it. I'm more interested in the storytelling and the art part of it. And when I started to see what generative art was capable of and the kinds of early films that people were starting to make, my interest was sucked into it deeply. And that's where I've started to find collaborators and other filmmakers who are interested in learning more about it, and artists from all different backgrounds. And I think that you see the energy coming into it, as well as the rapid development of capabilities, like the complete whirlwind of technological exciting developments that are constantly happening. It's almost as if as soon as you learn to use one tool, there are new ones to add to your arsenal. And so I'm very inspired by that pace of development, and that what that does to my brain as I'm using it is to expand its horizons and the capabilities of what I myself can make either alone or as a team. And both of those are very precious to me.
One subject that I keep hearing when I listen to you is you talk permanently about collaboration, which is something that, at least in the Los Angeles AI scene, we see a lot. It's one of the greatest things, how generous everybody is with their time, sharing knowledge, which maybe in other industries, you don't see that. It reminds me, and I'm not talking about the owners, right? I'm talking about real people, real artists, the folks that are like genuinely passionate about making art. Regarding this collaboration, and especially understanding your experience as a woman that's been involved in tech since the 90s, and I'm assuming, I wasn't there, but I'm assuming it was a very male-dominated environment. So how do you think now with AI technology and maybe more voices joining the conversation, sometimes things just don't change, they get better makeup on. Do you feel in your experience that the women that want to join artistic communities and get involved in the technology, are they getting a seat at the table right now?
You could take a seat at the table. I think it involves being a little bit forward and sitting down and not being intimidated by not knowing every part of the technology. I think that there still are more men than women, but I've been so encouraged to see especially like an influx of younger women coming into it very boldly, making their visions, really powerful voices, making films, competing with their films, getting noticed, winning competitions, just starting to speak out more. And I hope that it leads to a seat at the table for everybody, for every voice, but time will tell. I've always felt like just being bold with the technology was the most important thing that I could do to empower myself. My undergrad is in film, and before I was interested in film, I didn't know how to use any technology whatsoever. And the very first time I pushed the record button on a device, I felt a sense of empowerment, like I can make anything. I can make the whole thing myself if I need to. And to know that, like, if you can hire yourself for your own project, if you can greenlight your project, it doesn't matter who you are. You can make your story, you can make your show, you can make your whatever, you can make your interactive environment, then you are empowered to do it. And, it's a door to walk through. So yes, there's always going to be people trying to close the door in my face, probably in your face, in everybody's faces, right? And if the technology gives you a way to open the door, and step through and make your vision, then who's stopping you? You know, you have to take it. Is there going to be a seat at the table? If we continue to take it, then yes. And we have to be bold. So.
And I can relate to that part about the door shutting down because, again, I'm a white passing Latino, so I have a very privileged experience compared to other Latinos. But I did feel when I moved to LA that I wasn't as privileged as in Buenos Aires. I definitely had some very progressive people let me know that a Latino is supposed to shut up, you know, and be nice and funny.
I'm sorry.
My learning from that, and I think I'm hearing it from you as well, is if the door shuts down, you knock it the fuck down. That's how I feel. You know, many doors will shut down, and that's fine, especially with these technologies, right? It empowers me to create something like this, to create other things, and then I feel like I'm on even ground. Sure, even if they have more money, as long as I have my brain, my creativity, and a tool, I'm annoying enough to stay until it gets and some like tractions. Don't wait for the yes, because especially in this economy, more than likely you're not going to get it. So build your thing, draw from the punk rock spirit and go for it.
Yes, be brave. I mean, we've had the wonderful opportunity to do through Machine Cinema and AILA to do various Gen battles, which are wonderful social events where people come together and they collaborate, form teams, and make something quickly. The first time I did one, I was really nervous. I didn't want to fail in public. And it went very well, and it was a wonderful experience. And I worked with another woman who had never done it before either. And we were like, are we doing it right? But then we were doing it right, and through doing those kinds of experiences, I've learned so much, and it's okay to sometimes fail in public, as long as you get back up and you make the next story and you keep on learning and doing it better and better. And that has been so much fun. And it's led to meeting a wonderful community of men and women creators who are helping each other with their projects and collaborating. Yes, I'm obsessed by collaboration, collaborating and making things quickly and beautifully that they couldn't make before.
I love that you're obsessed with collaboration, by the way.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. One of the things I like is that just working with different creatives, and hearing different ideas. That's what I love about being in LA. The amount of creative people I get to meet that have so many different approaches.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that'll expand your creative palette, and you have more resources. Speaking of expanding, I want to talk about your project with Mr. Kenny Miller, Backlot AI, right? You're building Backlot AI as a tool for working filmmakers. So where in the filmmaking process does it actually plug in, and how does it change it, in your opinion?
Well, that's a wonderful question. So Backlot AI is sort of our little studio where we both experiment with all of the technologies, make projects, collaborate with other artists to make projects. And then this part would be wonderful for you to talk with Kenny about, but I'll just sort of briefly give an overview that he and I have been working on using LoRa's. It's a way to create a model, to create consistent characters and brands. For example, when we talked about making the Slumu thing, we made a LoRa to create the Slumu style characters out of the slime. And now we're using the same kind of technology to create characters that are consistent. And a lot of people are using those also. One of the tools that Kenny has been writing and I've been testing and using is a LoRa creator that makes it possible to test and compare and further fine tune and develop a LoRa in an organized and easy way, and then to test it against a suite of prompts. So the tools that we're making continue to evolve as we ourselves need different tools on the projects that we're making. They're in development and they're being used actively on our projects, which is so thrilling. And we're also we're basically working with other filmmakers to start to create a slate of original films. And we're starting to work more with collaborations with physical production. Just yesterday, actually, we had Maddie Hong come over with her cinematographer to shoot things for a film that we're helping her create using the LoRa tools, and that it's going to be a hybrid production that involved a lot of shooting outside with special lenses in the garden. And now we're using all of this original material that we created, and Kenny's tools are instrumental in this, to create LoRa's that let us move through the dirt like an insect and have like a first-person Bugs point of view. So you'll start to see us talking more about how the tools were used in these early collaborations, and that will help to, I mean, they're in development. That will help to show us what more they need to be in order to work effectively for filmmakers and artists that want to use them.
I want to have a little creative exercise with you right now. It's the first time I'm going to do it. This was not planned. But given your history, like you said, you're always creating tools. You're very, can't sit still, from what I'm getting a vibe from you, which I really admire. I love people that can't sit still. Those are the ones that change things, right? But like, let's just like do some futurology. We can get psychedelic, whatever, no pressure. You build like all these tools many times before the industry was ready for them, or right as it was popping, right? Let's imagine the future. What's a tool that we still don't have that you would love to build, that would solve a pain point for you, maybe, or something that will expand the ideas you have in your head and allow you to actually create something tangible?
That's a really hard one, honestly, because I feel like the tools that we keep getting are kind of that. Like, I have been waiting throughout my career for capabilities like the ones that we have now. And this is going to maybe sound like a boring answer, but I'll give it to you because we have so many tools. As you know, when you're doing a project, you're going between tools because this one does this really well. That one does another thing that you still need really well. And it gets really convoluted, right? Which files are where. So I think in my fantasy world, you would just have some very special content management system that would allow you, I mean, say you're doing a film, that would allow you to iterate on the materials, yet keep them organized and findable and in the sequence that you need them. This particularly would be for filmmaking, but it really would be also for any kind of like immersive world design or anything that you're developing sequential parts of it and you want to go deeper into exploring any one part of it. Or if you're collaborating with a team as well and different people are taking on different parts of the project, we just need some magical system that would let you grab and iterate and update and combine things into the whole project without losing the different new pieces, or something that lets you make immersive 3D worlds. And I know that there's amazing 3D artists who can already kind of do that, and things of course are getting easier. Other people can access those skills too, but I'm not obsessed by the 3D magical immersive world, but I am very interested in like the supporting organizational world that lets us make bigger, better projects in an easier to finish way.
Rachel, where can people find out more about the work you're doing, about Backlot AI?
I can share my link tree with you.
Yeah, we'll have all the links here in the description. So folks, if you want to learn more about Rachel's career and Backlot AI, everything in the description, whether you're on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or whenever you listen to podcasts, this one's there. So Rachel, it's been so amazing talking to you. You gave me so many takeaways. This has been great, especially for me. This holds a lot of value. I keep talking about the Nickelodeon thing, but I cannot explain how influential that CD-ROM was, along the Ramones, the two things that taught me, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is the attitude that I want to keep about it. So, Rachel, thank you so much. This has been episode 4 for Creativity and Robots, 2nd season. My name is Juan Faisal. Please subscribe, like, do all the things that we need to do so the algorithm shows it to more people. Yeah, do a little dance if needed. I might start doing TikToks, dancing and pointing at things. But anyway, thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Amo la creación en mi pantalla, bits y bytes en danza, todo brilla, cada código que escribo canta. Sabor a cumbia.